What's up?
Welcome. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you for having me.
Hi, everyone who is watching. Thank you for tuning in to our Off the Mat chat. We have our very special friend Parker, all the way from Colorado. Welcome, Parker. Thank you for coming.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. I appreciate you.
I'm so glad you got to come on and play a little bit for us before we started. It sounds amazing.
Thank you.
So, just to start off, will you introduce who you are?
My name's Parker, and I am a multi-instrumentalist, primarily percussionist. Until a few years ago, the handpan brought itself into my life, and from there, I've just kind of really started to dabble in all sorts of things, music and sound. I've just been really exploring my musical journey pretty deeply these last couple of years.
That's amazing. There's a ambulance going by. So can you tell everyone, we can see the pans you have, or the drums you have lined up. Can you tell us what a handpan is?
Yeah, so a handpan is the most magical instrument on the planet, I would argue. So essentially it's a steel sculpture that's made from two pieces of steel and sunk, and then it is hammered, shaped and hammered into tune. And all of these different notes or all of these different dimples are different notes. And the instrument itself was invented in the year 2000 by a couple people in Switzerland, a company called Pan Art, and they invented an instrument called the hang. And that was the first one of these to reach the world. And from there, really just kind of exploded and inspired an entire community of people worldwide to create instruments similar and to put their own personal touch on them. So
That's amazing. I didn't know. So it's a young instrument.
it's pretty young. It's based on a lot of really old ideas, like the steel drum and the steel pan, things like that. But yeah, the handpan and the hang themselves are relatively new instruments. So it's really what's going on, Kathy? How are you?
Hi, Mom.
Yeah, so it's really kind of an honor to be a part of this community at such a young stage. You know, we're really creating the history of this instrument and how it's being brought into the world, and how it's going to be introduced to people. So
That's pretty awesome. Speaking of how it was brought into the world, how was it brought into your life? How did you discover the handpan?
oh man, I was watching drum set videos actually. I've been drumming for a really long time, and I was sitting at home watching drum set videos on YouTube, and I clicked on the wrong video and found this handpan player and was just blown away. I was like, what is this? How do you find these? And just went down the rabbit hole quick after that. So yeah, originally when Pan Art was creating these instruments, the only way you could acquire one was to write them a letter, and if they accepted your letter, you went to Switzerland to meet them and pick the instrument that speaks to you, all that kind of thing. So I wrote Pan Art a couple letters and had those denied, and started to dig even further, and I was like, there has to be other people out there making an instrument similar to this, or doing the same thing. And that was when I came across a gentleman in Italy, actually, Tommaso Varial. He builds these instruments that are called Bless Pans, is his brand. And yeah, I got on his waiting list, and me and a couple buddies went and backpacked through Europe for a month and did a little pilgrimage to get my first instrument. So
I didn't know this story. I'm so glad that I'm asking you this stuff, because that's so interesting, and it's so deep and personal of a way to like come across a musical instrument.
Absolutely. It was like say it was my first time out of the country too, so it was this really spiritual and just broadening experience for me culturally. And then it was just the very beginning of what this handpan was going to unfold for me in my life. And it really opened up all the doors to where I'm at today. I wouldn't be doing what I'm doing or where I'm at today without the handpan in my life. So
That's and speaking of, what are you doing? So you're doing what you're doing and where you're at. Can you tell us where you're at right now?
Yeah, so I moved to Colorado about a year ago, and have just been trying to make some musical connections out here as well, and really just try to uh, mix it up a little bit. You know, I think that when I started to travel, it really just opened up all of these different avenues for me, and I knew that I couldn't stay in the place that I had grown up in, and knew that there was something more for me out there. And Colorado was just felt like a good fit for the time. Even when I moved here, I knew it wouldn't be a place that I would stay forever, but it just felt like a good next step in the journey for me. So
shout out to Colorado. It's a great place. You also grew up in Jackson, right?
Yeah.
Nice. Um, so you said the journey that you knew that this would kind of take you on a journey. So you traveled to Europe, and then you also, was it after? It must have been after you spent a month or some time in Hawaii, correct?
Yeah, so we went to Europe in 2016 to get my first instrument, and then went to a couple handpan gatherings. They host gatherings all over the world where people come together and play handpan for the weekend, and meet a bunch of incredible people. That was actually what got me on to social media. I had never had Facebook or MySpace or anything back in the day. I was off the social media completely until I met these people from Australia and Colombia, Brazil, all over the world. And I was like, oh man, I have to stay in touch with these people. So yeah, I went to a couple gatherings, and then in 2018, I went down with some friends to Hawaii to help organize the first handpan gathering on Maui.
Oh wow! How many people? Was it a large gathering, or is it still fairly a small?
So it depends on the gathering. It's definitely much larger over in Europe, being that the instrument comes from there. They have gatherings that are, hundreds of people. And the majority of the ones that I've been to here in the United States are right around 100 people or less. So it's
So
nice because you have a decent group of people, and but it's also personal enough that you get to meet and spend time with everybody there.
That's awesome. That sounds amazing. And then the instrument, you said it kind of broadened your horizon, like worldly. The instrument kind of sounds a little otherworldly. It's a magical, enlightened sound.
Yeah, very ethereal.
Yes, I think so too. It's the second you start playing, it kind of takes you into a different world or a different experience. Do you feel? Is that me just projecting, or do you feel that way when you play as well?
No, I absolutely feel that way. Just like when with you saying that from your experience and the first times that I've heard it and the millionth time that I've heard it, I'm still able to bring myself to this different place. And I think what's really, really wonderful about it is when you're out busking or playing in the street and people come across you that have never, seen this instrument before or experienced it. We go through our lives in such a busy manner for the most part. We're just, doing our things and on to the next, and really busy and head down. And when you catch those people that are completely just thrown off from what they're doing at that moment, and you just have this moment of, whoa, what is that? And you see the childlike wonder come out in people that we lose track of as adults. And it's really special to be a part of facilitating that for people.
Yes, that's such a beautiful description too, because it taps into a different space maybe in the brain, or like just a different, different from what we're used to on the everyday hustle and bustle.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you are, I want to be, I have a couple of questions about the future, but I kind of want to ask about your past and your whole kind of musical inspiration. You've been
of course.
a musician your whole life, right? Basically.
For a long time. Yeah. So my dad is actually a pretty kick-ass saxophone player.
I didn't know that.
Oh yeah, he can throw it down. So yeah, I grew up around that. He was playing in bands and stuff when I was a kid, and I can remember going to band practice with him when I was just a really, really young kid. And being exposed to all these different instruments and being able to, hang out behind the drum set or watch the guitar players play. And it's really, been a part of my life from the very beginning. And then my parents put me into piano lessons when I was in kindergarten. So that was my first introduction to really playing music and starting to dive into it myself. I played piano until 4th grade or 5th grade. And then when you could pick an instrument in band, I was just a punk kid and I wanted to play drums. I didn't want to play piano anymore. And it's a decision that it definitely changed the direction of my life. And I'm so thankful for drumming. But now that I'm diving into more composing and diving into music deeper, I'm kicking myself for giving up piano as well. But yeah, I did, drumline and jazz band and all that kind of stuff all through middle school and high school, and played in some bands with buddies, different metal bands, and rock, funk, all sorts of stuff. So
that's amazing. So you've been at this for quite some time. I want to ask, you said about composing, but I have one question. When you took piano lessons as a kid, did you love it or did you hate it?
It was definitely a little bit of both. There was days where I really enjoyed it, and then other days where it was just like, man, I don't want to go to piano right now. Like, I want to run around or be outside or do something else.
I'm always curious about the piano lesson or the music lessons as a child. I had to go through that.
Yeah.
So you said you are kicking yourself, well, not kicking yourself. Anyways, you said you're composing. So you're working on writing an album, is that right?
Yeah, so it's been kind of an up and down project for sure. It's something that I know that I want to do, and with me not really having a huge following musically, I'm really just trying to get myself on my feet. I haven't really felt a whole lot of pressure to have it done at any specific time. I'm really just trying to listen to where I'm at in life and what's happening around me, the things that I'm experiencing, and the album itself, it's going to be primarily instrumental, which I think is really fun because it gives the listener the option and the opportunity to really explore what it means to them. I have an idea of what this music means to me, but without words to guide you in a direction, it allows it to be free for you to experience from your own perspective. So I'm really excited to offer that to the world, but also I'm going to do a bunch of short stories as well. And this is going to be a concept album where I'm kind of taking bits and pieces from our human experience and trying to start as close to birth or before conception, and then the last track being after we leave our physical bodies, and just trying to take all these pinpoints and little snapshots and talk to people in my life that have impacted my experience of all different ages and backgrounds and belief systems, and really just kind of see where they're at and try to draw on those things and how those connections relate to my personal experience. So it's been really fun to write different songs about different people that are really close to me or different experiences that I've had. So
oh my gosh, that sounds amazing. So let me clarify, maybe not just for myself but for everyone listening. Are you doing the album that you're doing that's instrumental is a short story, or there's two that you're thinking?
No, this will be the same album. So the booklet itself or whatever that'll be in the album will have a bunch of just short write-ups, kind of my take on the tracks, and then that'll give you an idea of where I'm coming from, as well as give you the opportunity to experience it for yourself. So
that's beautiful. I love it so much. I have a question just personally, like, have you ever listened to certain bands that are all instrumental? So like, for example, do you know Explosions in the Sky? Or
yeah, absolutely.
Have you ever experienced listening to them, knowing full well they're not singing, but feel like you're hearing lyrics come through from the instruments?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that it's really awesome. You just have these voicings from all the instruments, and it gives you this opportunity to really really see their seamless expression into an instrument. A vocalist or singer, it's coming right from your body, whereas an instrumentalist, we have this medium in order to express ourselves rather than just through our voice. So the goal as an instrumentalist is to bring that barrier as close to nothing as possible, to just seamlessly express what's in here through this medium out to the listener. So yeah, I listen to tons of instrumental bands, and really try to draw a lot of inspiration on the way that they use their voicings and that kind of stuff. So
yes, oh, I love it. So that is remarkable. I'm excited to hear this. Yeah, so we were talking earlier too, before we got on here, that we have a mutual friend in common who you're working with maybe, and who has done some stuff. Jeremy, he's also a handpan artist, right?
yeah, Jeremy Arndt, he's the man.
To Jeremy,
Yeah,
he's the person that exposed me to the handpan.
oh, that's so cool. Yeah, so Jeremy was the first handpan player that I met after I got my instrument in Europe. I heard about this class at Just Be Yoga in Lansing.
Nice.
And my buddy was like, hey, there's this handpan player that's going to be there. You should go meet him and bring your instrument. And we got there and the class was sold out. And I talked to him and I was like, hey, I won't practice if there's not room. Like, can I just sit in the back and watch and just listen to you play? And he and the instructor were both really, really laid back. They're like, no, we'll squeeze you in. We'll make it work. So I got to hang out and kind of chat with him. And really since then, he's been like a big brother to me in this handpan community. He really has been an inspirational story. You know, he went to business school and then decided after going to business school that he wanted to make music for a living and not pursue the conventional business lifestyle that he had studied for, and really just listen to his intuition in order to bring him to the place he's at now. And, you know, that him and his partner, Nancy, have been traveling the world doing yoga and sound healing retreats and classes all over the world. They do tours here in the US and retreats all across the world in these beautiful locations. So in my journey, just trying to, you know, build the stepping stones to making music the focal point of my life, both personally and in a business sense. He's been a really, really awesome resource and a great friend. And we've done some collaborations together and done a couple classes together. And yeah, we were actually supposed to have some pretty awesome things coming up, but the virus has kind of put those at bay for a little while. So maybe as things start to transition, that might come back up for us, but who knows at this point. But yeah, he's an incredible person. I can't thank him enough for everything that he's done to help me, and is continuing to do to help me with this album. And yeah, just a great friend and a great human.
That's amazing. They played one time. We did a yoga class in Jackson. They played at Deeply Art, which was really fun. Where you also played at, we've collabed together on some pretty amazing
classes.
If you guys recognize Parker from Grand River Yoga on Brunch sometimes. Also, we've done some classes together at Studio Deeply Art, which has been wonderful. Yeah. Do you foresee any classes that you'll do in the future like that? After will lead me into a class.
Yeah.
So can you tell guys, we said that we have a special announcement. Parker and I are planning on teaming up together. So Parker is going to play kind of in this setting, maybe exactly in this setting. We have fine-tuned, when I say we, I mean Andrew and Parker have fine-tuned the audio, and it sounds really amazing. So we're excited to collaborate together. We're going to do a virtual handpan and yoga class together. So look for that in the future. Parker,
I'm so excited to do that with you.
It was pretty exciting to see. And I feel like as producers, kind of, you know, musical producers, audio, whatnot, it's kind of the challenge of being able to see that come together. Like, we fixed the audio, it turned out really well. So
yeah, it's something that I'm just diving into as well. You know, I've always just been the player. You know, I'll show up and set up my instruments and somebody else takes care of the sound. And the handpan has really kind of allowed me to dive into that rabbit hole as well. And there's so much to learn. I feel like I'm just barely scratching the surface on all that kind of stuff. But
oh, I bet. When you release your album, where will it be? Will it be on platforms like Spotify or?
yeah, absolutely. I'm gonna try to get it out as many places as I can, and just make it super accessible to everybody that wants to donate and all that kind of stuff. So
awesome. I'm gonna encourage you to add to your social media account so people will know about it. So
oh yeah, definitely. I'll start promoting once I get closer to that stage for sure.
Well, that is so exciting. Oh, I have one last question, and this wasn't on. This is kind of off this, but it might not be answerable. But do you have like one? I don't know if this is a thing because I'm not a musician or anything. Do you have a favorite sound that your handpan makes? Are you just in love with like one certain note or chord, or just like one certain pan?
Oh man,
that just like strikes you and you're like, this is my sound. Like it's your go-to note, like chord. I don't know.
oh man, I don't know. So actually, that's a really great question. So I was chatting with one of my roommates pretty recently who is a fantastic guitar player, and he was telling me about this Skype guitar lesson that he did with one of his favorite guitar players, and the guitar player asked him about chords, and he was just like, well, how do you relate these chords or these sounds to your life? And he was like, so for example, what chord reminds you of your mom or of a sunrise or something like that? And so that really just like turned the light bulb on for me, and I was just like, oh man, like that's such an interesting way to think about melody and to relate it to your personal life. So I don't know that I have a specific chord that I enjoy more than any others, but every once in a while when I'm starting to dive into new ideas, there's just some things that really just make you smile. So yeah, I think that the creative process itself is my favorite part.
Perfect answer.
Yeah, absolutely.
When my animals come into the picture, it usually means it's about time to wrap up our interview. Parker, do you have anything else you want to say before we wrap it up? And I kind of want you to play a little bit before we leave, but do you have anything else you want to announce, talk about, chat about?
Yeah, I really just want to give you a huge shout out and thank you so much, as well as the other yoga instructors that I've worked with in Jackson specifically, and in Lansing, Hillary and Austin, Boyk, and Ave, and all of you guys have really been huge parts in my growth as well. And coming out to Colorado, I've met a couple really awesome yoga instructors, but as far as the community that the mid-Michigan area holds, I haven't found that here in Colorado. So just know that what you guys are creating there is super special, and I miss you guys so much. So
oh dude, we miss you too. That's very sweet to hear. We love you. Thank you so much for talking with me, and I'm super excited to collaborate for a class in the future. If you don't mind, will you play us a little bit before we end?
Yeah, so I'll ask you if you want me to just kind of fool around and improvise like I typically do during the classes, or I can play something that I'm working on for the album, or whatever.
For the album.
Okay, cool. Okay. Yeah, it's still in the works. So if we make a couple mistakes, don't laugh at me.
Know the difference.
So yeah, this song I wrote for my cousin's wedding. He was supposed to get married in the beginning of June, and they asked me to play the handpan while the wedding party comes down the aisle rather than the traditional "Here Comes the Bride," all that kind of stuff. So this song will actually have one of my good buddies, Connor Sprunger, is going to be featured on clarinet. So this will be a duet, but I'll play my part of it. So yeah, hope you guys enjoy. It's called "Love Is the Answer."
Parker, it was beautiful.
Oh, thank you.
That was wonderful. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. I'm so glad that we got to do this.
Yes, me too. A gift, live music is a gift that was much appreciated. Thank you
So
so
much.
Is this your friend, maybe Ness?
Yeah, thank you, Ness.
Awesome. Oh, yay. Thanks, Matt. Not thanks to me, but Parker.
You guys are awesome. Thank you so much.
That was great. Well, Parker, I appreciate you. We miss you, and I'm excited for your album and to collaborate with you soon. So.
Yeah, absolutely. I miss you guys too.
All right. Thank you again for coming on. Say bye-bye.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll talk to you soon. Peace, guys.